Welcome to Family Tree Magazine's Best Websites podcast. This is the podcast devoted to finding the best websites to help you with your genealogy research. I'm Lisa Louise Cook. Wouldn't it be nice if you could search libraries across the country on one website? Well, you can. It's worldcat.org. They do just that, and that makes it one of the best websites for genealogy. Being a bit of a biblionost herself, I've invited Family Tree Magazine contributing editor Sunny Morton to the podcast to share her thoughts on what makes WorldCat a best website. Hi, Sunny.
Hi, Lisa. Where do I even start? Right. You're exactly right. I am a book lover. You've known that for years about me. So I'm definitely a person who would love to talk about WorldCat. Like, it's this amazing resource that I think too many of us aren't really fully utilizing to its full potential.
I fully agree with that. And of course, WorldCat really isn't targeting genealogists as their primary audience, but that doesn't mean it's not a terrific tool because it meets the needs that we have in our daily research. So maybe start us off at the 30,000 foot level of what is worldcat.org.
So worldcat.org is the place you go when you're trying to find a book or any other kind of resource and you're not sure where you would find a copy. So it's a multi-library catalog. So what they've done is bring in the holdings of thousands of libraries. So they catalog over 400 million books, 440 million articles at last count, millions, tens of millions of theses and dissertations, which we both know are sometimes that perfect little gem to answer that little esoteric question we have about our family history. And then maps, musical scores, sound recordings, audio recordings of all kinds, which I know that you're really passionate about. You can look for holdings of those things across thousands of different libraries and even access the content. And it's free. Lisa, we love free. I guess I should have led with that. This is a free resource. So worldcat.org and this huge multi-library catalog where it's basically the world's card catalogs. Remember that old phrase, at your fingertips.
Yes, exactly. And when people get there, they'll see, yes, you can create an account and you can, have your own little place, but that just opens up some more features. It's not that you have to pay for anything. It's just, it gives you more flexibility. Let's approach it as a researcher.
Okay.
And you were talking about being able to find materials. If you're looking for something, we don't want to have to do a huge interlibrary loan when maybe it's just down the street. Do you have an example of when you're looking for something, how to find the materials quickly, easily, and close to you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite things about WorldCat is the find it close to you. And I do have an example that comes to mind. A few years ago, I was doing research for my book on U.S. church records, and I came across a bibliographic reference to something that sounded really good, but I'm like, oh, nobody's going to have this, right? And if they do, it's probably in some library in Rome or at Harvard or something like that. So I went to WorldCat and I typed in the title, and once you find an entry, which I did immediately, I opened it. I scrolled down to where you can look for it at a library near you, because you can just put in, I put in my city where I am, so it knows where I am. And then I said, sort the holdings by the library nearest me. Lisa, there was a theological seminary 3 miles from my house that listed a copy of this. I'm like, what? I've driven past that place and I've wondered about it, but I had no idea they had a library. And so I actually showed up. I figured out their hours and I showed up at their desk. It's a private library for a private seminary, but they were kind enough to listen to my request and let me go down and pull that book off the shelf and sit there and read it. So really, when you talk about a library near you, yeah, that's the kind of result that you might come across.
Yeah, just a few minutes at WorldCat could save you so much time, so much headache. And I love how it gives you that list. You'll say, well, this one's 2 miles, this one's 10 miles, this one's 3,000 miles, but at least you know. So it's really about doing your homework before you go on site, right?
Yeah, it really is. And it's if you're a genealogist, but you haven't worked a whole lot with WorldCat on its own, but maybe it rings a bell, it's probably because you've gone to look up something in the Family Search catalog.
Yeah.
And there is now a setting in every Family Search catalog entry that says, okay, these are the holdings at the Family History Library in Salt Lake City, or here's a link to look at it digitally. But now there is another link that says, look at the WorldCat search results, and it will take you right over and dump you right on the landing page for that exact resource in WorldCat, so that if you can't get to the Family History Library, or if they just don't have copies there, you can go right to this find one at a library near me. So you can look for the nearest facility that's got one for you from Family Search. So that's fun too.
Yes. And Family Search is really endorsing that, don't just stop here, spread out if we don't have what you need. And I know that partnership came together many years ago. It's great to see WorldCat partnering with so many libraries. They don't have every single one though, right? So even then, if we don't find something at WorldCat, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means within their network of partner libraries.
That's correct. So they'll look around and kind of dig through their catalog, but most of the time I have had good luck finding things that I'm looking for, unless it's a rare original. But that would get to more like a manuscript catalog. And this is specifically, while they do have some manuscript items, this is really a library catalog. So these are things that there should be more than one copy of someplace. These are materials that were meant to be they were published or produced in a way that were meant to have multiple copies.
Yes, and not just the public library down the street, but I think they have corporate libraries, and they have libraries like Family Search. So,
that library, like the theological seminary, Who knew?
Sunny's got another great example of a way to use WorldCat, and that's right after this. The next generation of family history is here. Storied is taking family history to new and exciting places with AI, storied books, and more. With billions of historical records and exclusive newspaper publications, you can build and expand your family tree with ease. Collaborating with your family has never been easier or more affordable. Don't let your family's legacy go untold. Preserve these memories in a beautiful, interactive format that will be cherished for generations. Turn your family's journey into a stunning storied book, a keepsake to pass down to your children and grandchildren. Visit Storied today and get started for free. That's Storied, STORIED.com.
Okay, I've got another example that comes to mind. Okay, this one was actually just 3 weeks ago or so. So I was I'd come across this reference for an index to obituaries published in a Methodist newspaper in the 1800s. And I'm like, oh, okay, this was a 1988 index. So good luck finding this one, right? So I knew I wasn't going to necessarily find that really easily around me. My library system had a copy, but it was, in a reference area that wasn't like a local history section where I could just call somebody. So I'm like, I wasn't really confident. So I went to WorldCat and I looked it up, and I saw that one of the nearest ones available to me was at a genealogy section, the local genealogy and local history section of a public library system. I'm like, lookups. So I reached out to the library system and said, hey, I understand you have a copy of this book. Could you do some lookups for me? And I had answers within a couple of days. So that's another thing. Even if you don't need the book physically to come to you, sometimes you just need access to a person who's willing to look it up in their library. So watching your search results for reference departments for local history and genealogy libraries, any of those libraries that kind of ring a bell and you're like, oh, that's one of the, that's a genealogy library, because they're going to have a person there who wants to answer your question.
Yes, that's a terrific idea. And you kind of touched on there that you can do interlibrary loan as well through the system. So, so many helps that you can tap into in one location. I'm thinking about when you find something terrific that really meets your needs in WorldCat, that doesn't mean it's the only thing that might be out there. How do you use WorldCat to just be able to take that and expand on it?
All right, that's a great question. And it speaks to, anybody who loves libraries knows that when you go and you find something on the shelf physically, it's going to be cataloged with other books that might be interesting to you. And so when you pull out the book, pull that book off the shelf, you're looking what's to the left of it, what's to the right of it. Will it also be interesting to me? Is it by the same author? Is it on the same topic? Right? Well, we're not in a physical environment where we can do that. But one of the things that WorldCat has is a subject or a category assignment that goes with each of its holdings. So, for example, a few weeks ago, I was looking up some things to help me finalize some last touches on a Roots Tech lecture I'm giving on obituaries here in a few weeks. And wanted to read a good history of newspapers. Somebody recommended one. I looked it up in WorldCat and I'm like, okay, that's great, but what else? And so I scrolled down in that entry. There's a show more section, and I opened the show more section, scrolled down, and there's a whole subject list of different. So I found American newspapers history 19th century, American newspapers history 20th century. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And so I clicked on that 19th century link, and it brought me to all kinds of additional topic or additional resources on that same topic. So you're right, Lisa. If you're looking for other things in the same topic or category, or even by the same author, WorldCat is a really great place to go.
Yes. And that reminds me of a way in which I love using WorldCat. I mentioned at the top of the episode that you can sign up and get a free account. So that's great. And once you do, you can start creating lists. So as you're doing your research, you can track what you're searching for, some of the books that you're finding, get those collected in different subject matters. And then it dawned on me one day, oh, other people are doing this too. And WorldCat allows you to take advantage of that, right? You can look and see what somebody else researching the same topic is putting in their list.
That is so neat. I haven't used that aspect of it myself, but I'm so not surprised that you have as the person who knows how to use all technologies for family history uses. Like now I'm going to have to spend the rest of my morning. Thanks so much. Like I didn't need something else to do. So you're right. That's a great use of your the account that you can have on WorldCat.
Well, and in the situation that I was working on my Burkett family, and there was a specific book. It was a compiled family history. And I would say, most people interested in that one obscure book might be somebody I'd be interested to see if they're looking at other things that I am. And sure enough, they were researching many of the same surnames and locations. So if they make their list public, then you can, in a way, follow it. Almost like on social media. So you follow their list. So not only did I get to see and start checking out some of the other items they had found that I had not, but in the future, as they added items to their list, I would be able to also take advantage of that as well. And then as that in the spirit of collaboration, we can also decide whether we want to make our list public or private and maybe help somebody else too. Any other features out there that you really feel like genealogists need to have their eyes on at worldcat.org?
Well, I think that just being aware that it's a resource so that it comes to you top of mind. And I wish I could find something that did this. And, that search bar is not just for exact titles. So I'm researching right now a Catholic religious community near me, and I just entered cloistered Poor Clares and brought up within the first couple of search responses, I have a history of this specific little tiny religious community here in Cleveland, Ohio, where I live. So you can also use it to search for stuff that you don't know exists yet.
Yeah, and that's the key, isn't it? And there are new materials coming online every day, just like there are items that are linking on the internet. So we just want to keep abreast of it. So I agree with you. I think this is one of those websites you just bookmark it to your browser bar, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think I probably use it every research day of my life.
I bet. Well, again, we've been talking about worldcat.org. And as Sunny mentioned, they are linked up with Family Search. So when you're searching there, you are really searching some of the top genealogy libraries as well as all the other ones that are out there. And there's just a lot of wonderful resources, and they are all free. Sunny, tell everybody listening what you've been up to and how they can stay in touch with you.
Well, as you know, Lisa, I've been doing a lot of research the last several years on looking at U.S. denominational records, so religious records in the United States for the purposes of genealogy. And the past year or so, I've done a deep dive into the archives of Catholic, what they call women religious, so nuns and sisters. And their archives are phenomenal. So I've been traveling to a lot of different religious orders, mother houses, meeting with their archivists, looking at their collections. They've been so generous with me, speaking with their archivists, and writing a guide to these. So that's the rabbit hole I've been down lately, Lisa. So thanks for asking about it. And you can find me if you're interested in that topic or any other. You can find me on Facebook, or you can find me at sunnymorton.com.
Wonderful. Well, it's always good to find you here at the podcast. I hope you'll come back again soon.
I will.
Thanks so much for joining me for the Family Tree Magazine Best Websites podcast. You can find a link over to this month's best website at familytreemagazine.com/podcast. Also, while you're at the website, I would encourage you to sign up for our free email newsletter. It's the perfect way to stay in touch with everything we've got going on at Family Tree Magazine, including our other podcast, the Family Tree Magazine podcast. I'm Lisa Louise Cook, and you can find me at my website, genealogygems.com, where you'll find links to my Genealogy Gems podcast and our YouTube channel. Until next time, have fun climbing your family tree.